Marty, budget cuts have eroded many of the services that people in the community have come to rely on, leaving an increased number of people vulnerable. How will you work to ensure the safety net of social programs is not decimated by the budget cuts?
Yeah, well, when you refer to social programs, this is always, it doesn't really apply totally to a city. It applies more to the county, which is enacting social programs that are handed to it through the state, which really came about with the Reformation or the, what was it, 1930s, or when they basically said that the counties were subunits of the state. The cities don't actually do much of that, although we do have our own work that we do with our own citizens. We do ADA accessibility projects that we're doing every year on our streets and our crossings and access ramps to make it possible for people to move about, to have mobility. We're keeping our library services open, which actually helps people who've lost their jobs. We have a significant computer system and access there at the library, which is busy most of the time. Yeah. And it's a wonderful building, too. It's a real classic building. It's a... oh, I just forgot what it's called. It's a Carnegie Library, that's what it was. And it's one of the few that's still operating. And it's a wonderful facility, and great people man it. But you know, we've had to take our hits. They had to reduce their hours from 56 to 40, but we still are 44, but we still keep it open. There was some chances that we might have to close it sometimes. We've also kept our Parks and Rec programs going, which is really important for our seniors, because our senior programs are tied up at the Parks and Rec Center and also at the Community Center. So those two groups, and also the ADA accessibility issue, we've tried to keep going with. Oh, there I am. Fine. We've also tried to address some of the budget cuts by moving capital projects that aren't necessary right this moment, are critical to an out year. Not necessarily all the streets and road stuff. We still have a lot to do there. But some of the capital projects, like the redo of the City Hall and the city campus, the civic campus, have been moved out, so that we're trying to save money there that then we don't have to spend on those. Let's see. 2 years ago, there was a temporary sales tax that the citizens of Woodland passed. If you look at the history, in 2000 there was a sales tax they passed that was good for 6 years. That had 4 advisories, so it was a general sales tax measure. And the advisories were for streets and roads, the community center, the police department, and more playing fields. Mainly soccer, but also other kinds of playing fields. And over the next years, we used that money to build the community center, which I'm quite proud of, and our police department, which actually is a lead award-winning building for energy efficiency. And then also the work we did on the roads, and then putting the extra playing fields next to the community center. Well, the people of Woodland renewed that in '06. It's called Measure E now, and then it has some of the same sorts of things in it, plus a library expansion and the Opera House expansion, but it's based on retail sales tax. So because the consumer purchases dropped, that dropped. So we've had to reevaluate how much money we have available, and we've had to move some of those projects out. But then in 2 years ago, we went to the community and we said, because of the decrease in property tax and sales tax, which are the two major funders of your general fund, which basically funds most of your parks and rec, your fire, police, and the library services, all those things, we said, you know, we're going to have to start shutting stuff if we don't get some help here. So they passed a 4-year quarter-cent sales tax, which basically I view as a Band-Aid. It was a bridge loan so that we could work on the structural changes that needed to happen, and that's what we've been doing now for 2 years. There are 2 more years of that, and we have more structural changes coming up. I've been on the council this time 4 years, and all 4 years we've been cutting general fund money. And we've been trying to do it without massive layoffs. I'm very proud of what we did. We did a lot of it with attrition, golden handshakes, consolidated departments. We've reduced our managers from 10 to 5. And I think we only had a couple of forced layoffs that actually happened. But that's what they call low-hanging fruit. And so this next time we still have about $3 million we have to plug a hole, and we're going to have to go further up the tree now. But that was a limited measure. I mean, for me, if another 2 years, we need to have our house in order and our structural modifications done to how the city operates, because I And when I supported it 2 years ago, I said, I'm not going to ask for more. And at this point, I don't want to have to ask for more. I think we need to have that kind of integrity with the voters. You know, we tell them what we're going to do, and we do it. And if we have to change, then I really will question if we've done enough structural changes, because we said we could do it in 4 years.
Thank you.
What do you consider the top issues facing the city over the next 5 years?
Well, I think we just hit on one of them, which
Yeah.
is the budget. I could actually say budget. But also, the surface water project is a big issue for us. We are currently under penalty, and we're paying fines for using groundwater solely, and it's because of our discharge permit, surface water, the wastewater discharge permit. We have water rights on the Sacramento River, along with Davis and UCD, and those have been transferred to a joint powers agency that we formed over a year and a half ago. So we have the mechanism in place. We're getting money from the feds and the state for and we've got a partnership with RD 2035 and the Conway Preservation Group. So we have things in place to be able to do this project. Now, I know that Davis has run into some issues with it, and I understand that. We came over and talked to them. Our council came over and talked to their council and told them what our position was. And basically, our position is, if Davis doesn't want to go forward with it, that's okay. We need to, because we can't face the penalties that are going to hit us in 2016. It's going to be much worse. And it wouldn't be taking care of our city if we didn't. And it also wouldn't be taking care of our resources, because what we're dumping in the river goes into the delta. And what's going in are higher elevated salts, selenium, boron, and nitrates that are coming from the groundwater. It's not anybody's fault. It's just that most cities have moved off of groundwater, they've moved to surface water, and we need to do the same thing. The job space, that is a big one for me. We need to bring in, Clark Pacific now has the contract to do the 49ers stadium, which is great. You know who they are, they do the pre-stressed concrete, and they build the parking structure. So they're going to bring some more jobs into Woodland. They were closed down for a while because of the economic downturn. We're hoping that helps. If we solve we need to solve our floodwater problem in our industrial area, and if we could do that, then there's industrial properties that become available for development. Those are things that I think are some of the top issues. The budget, water, our job space, and economic development, and the right kind of economic development. And then nobody knows what's going to happen with the redevelopment funds. We have about $4 or $5 million sitting out there in bond funding that I'm not sure what we can do with, and we need to get that resolved. And I think if we can get that resolved, then we can go back and do more with our redevelopment work, and more of the investment in our properties downtown in the core, which was the center of our redevelopment agency.